So I love long-running definitive stamps, but what I did not have is the iconic penny red. Let me show you how I'm starting this journey. Welcome to Penny Red Collecting 101. For quite a number of years, I have been avidly pursuing the Swiss Standing Helvetia series of 1882 to 1907. Last year, I started to get my feet wet into the Germania that were used from 1900 to 1923. And recently, I made efforts to start acquiring the French Sewer series from 1903 to 1937, while also looking into the Italian Siracusana of 1953 to 1988. The common denominator is that all of these are long-running definitive series of stamps whose production and printing methods changed often, and the fact that the penny reds were in use for almost 40 years, I made a conscious decision to collect these. I just had to add it to the group. Now, the question raised by every one of us who are new in a certain area is, where do I get the stamps? And it's not just getting the first handful in, but it's also about how can I get on with the learning curve. In the end, I don't want to have penny reds stored in a stockbook. I want to learn about them, go deep into postal history, or have the idea of reconstructing one of the printing plates. So after visiting a couple of stamp fairs and searching the internet for online shops, I reached out to Liverpool Stamps. And if you are still watching this video up to this point, it means you are interested in the stamps. So if you want to know how you can get started, head over to www.liverpoolstamps.co.uk. Whenever I start a new collecting area, I don't right away accumulate stamps as much as I can or as fast as I can. I need to know about it first, how it was developed and evolved over its production years, and most importantly, would it sustain my interest over a long period of time? So let me share what I've learned so far. The story starts with the Postal Reform Act of 1839 in Great Britain, where Sir Rowland Hill initiated to simplify the postal system, make it efficient and more affordable to the public. The idea was to charge a standard letter postage rate regardless of the distance traveled. This led to the creation of the world's first self-adhesive postage stamp, the penny black. In 1841, this stamp was replaced by the penny red because of one major problem, and that is color. The penny black encountered fraudulent cleaning and reuse as the cancellation ink was difficult to see on its dark background. To prevent this, the penny red was introduced with a red-brown color, and any attempt to remove or alter the cancellation mark would be more apparent. There were three main types of penny reds issued. The first printings from 1841 until 1854 were imperforates, meaning that the edges didn't have holes punched through them, and the stamps had to be cut out of a sheet by the post office clerk using scissors. Initially using the same printing plates, these stamps were effectively penny blacks, but printed in red ink. In terms of design, this featured a side-facing portrait of Queen Victoria of Great Britain with ornamental stars on the upper corners and interlocking lines at each side. The stamps were line engraved on either white or bluish paper with a small crown watermark. An important element is the pair of corner check letters at the bottom. These enable you to identify its position on the printing plate. Let's talk about this a little bit more. The penny reds were printed in sheets of 240 subjects. The sheets had 20 horizontal rows check-lettered from A to T and 12 vertical columns check-lettered from A to L. The lower left corner letter indicates the row the impression is on, and the lower right corner letter indicates the column the impression is located in. The first stamp in the sheet is check-lettered AA, and the last stamp in the sheet is check-lettered TL. How awesome is this? One can actually replicate or reconstruct a printing plate. Another variation in the design allows you to trace if the stamp was printed from the first 131 plates or from plates 132 to 177. The so-called alphabet 2 from the second group have taller and broader check letters. To know the exact printing plate that was used for each stamp, other components such as color shades, the different dyes used, the flaws that can be found, and cancellations must be considered. I will take on these topics in the future as I take more steps in this journey. Following the experiments started by Henry Archer to find ways to separate stamps, perforations were introduced in 1854, making them much easier to rip out from a sheet of stamps and eliminating the need to use scissors. The design remained the same, initially with a perf gauge 16 and later perf 14. The watermark used were either a large or a small crown. In 1858, some changes were made, and this included replacing the top corner stars with the same check letters used in the lower corners, but in reverse order. Small plate numbers were also added between the interlocking lines at each side. These are mostly visible on mint copies and can be found halfway down the stamp on both left and right hand side. These stamps were produced from printing plates numbered 71 to 225 and had the large crown watermark. Plate numbers are important as it is what mostly determines the value of a penny red stamp. The ultimate example being the extremely rare plate 77 from 1863. So that's it. I've taken my baby steps in this collecting area. In future videos, I will talk about postmarks and other topics about the penny reds as I learn along the way. If you like this video and you would want to see more like this, tell me about it in the comment section. Ciao!